The first time 12-year-old Ethan Blackwood saw the black raven, he thought it was just another bird. It perched silently on the roof of the village bakery, staring at an elderly man buying fresh bread. Ethan blinked, and for a brief second he saw something impossible. The old man collapsed onto the cobblestone street while people screamed around him. Then the vision vanished. The raven flew away. The old man smiled, paid for his bread, and walked home as if nothing had happened. The next morning, the village bells rang. The baker announced that the elderly man had died peacefully in his sleep only hours after Ethan's vision. It happened again, and again. Every time someone was close to death, Ethan saw the same enormous black raven watching them first. "My name is Ethan Blackwood, and the entire kingdom believed I brought death wherever I went. They never realized I was only the one who could see it coming." Ethan never told anyone about the visions until his younger sister became ill. One rainy evening the raven appeared outside her bedroom window. Terrified, Ethan begged the village healer to come immediately. The healer laughed, calling him an imaginative child. By sunrise, his sister had stopped breathing. Heartbroken, Ethan told the villagers about the raven and the visions. Instead of comforting him, they blamed him. Parents forbade their children from speaking to him. Merchants closed their doors whenever he entered the market. They whispered that the raven followed Ethan because he served dark magic. Within months he became known as the Death Boy. Only his grandfather believed him. "Death isn't your gift," the old man said. "Warning people is." Those words stayed with Ethan long after his grandfather passed away. As he grew older, the visions became stronger. Sometimes the raven circled above entire villages before storms. Sometimes it landed outside castles days before terrible accidents. Ethan traveled from town to town trying to warn strangers, but most people chased him away before he could finish speaking. One winter afternoon, while passing through the royal capital, Ethan looked toward the palace and felt every hair on his body stand upright. Hundreds of black ravens covered the palace towers. The sky itself seemed darker around the castle. Then the vision struck. He saw Queen Isabella standing on the palace balcony waving to thousands of cheering citizens during the annual winter festival. Suddenly a royal banner snapped loose in the fierce wind. Hidden behind it stood a hooded assassin holding a poisoned crossbow. The arrow flew through the air, and the queen collapsed before anyone even realized she had been attacked. Ethan nearly fainted as the vision ended. Without thinking, he sprinted toward the palace gates shouting that the queen was in danger. The guards immediately arrested him. Another mad prophet, one guard laughed while locking him inside a prison cell beneath the castle. No one believed a ragged traveler, claiming to predict death. Hours later, Captain Rowan, commander of the Royal Guard, visited the cell. Unlike the others, he noticed genuine terror in Ethan's eyes. "If you're lying," Rowan warned, "you'll hang." Ethan calmly described the exact balcony, the assassin's location, the hidden crossbow, and even the poisoned arrow. Rowan hesitated. The details were far too specific to ignore. Against the king's orders, he secretly doubled security around the balcony before the festival began. The celebration started exactly as planned. Thousands filled the city square. Queen Isabella stepped onto the balcony smiling warmly. Hidden behind the royal banners, Captain Rowan's soldiers quietly searched every shadow. Then one guard shouted. An assassin wearing a dark cloak tried to fire a poisoned crossbow from behind the banner exactly where Ethan had described. He was captured before releasing the arrow. The entire kingdom stood frozen in disbelief. Ethan hadn't predicted the attack. He had prevented it. News spread faster than wildfire. Overnight the boy once feared as a bringer of death became known as the Queen's guardian. Queen Isabella personally invited Ethan to remain at the palace, offering him a comfortable home and a place among her advisors. Ethan politely refused. "If I stay here," he explained, "someone else may die waiting for a warning." The queen smiled with admiration and instead appointed him royal messenger, granting him authority to travel freely throughout the kingdom, helping anyone whose future he could change. For nearly 5 peaceful years Ethan saved countless lives. He warned miners before cave-ins, fishermen before deadly storms, and entire villages before devastating floods. Yet one autumn evening something happened that terrified even him. For the first time in his life, the raven appeared standing directly in front of him. It didn't fly away. It simply stared into his eyes. Then another vision came. He saw the entire kingdom covered in darkness. Cities burned. Rivers turned black. At the center of it all stood a young girl no older than 10, crying while holding a glowing crystal shaped like a heart. Before Ethan could understand the vision, the raven spoke in a voice older than time itself. "You have mistaken me for death," it said. "I have never been death." Ethan could barely breathe. "Then, what are you?" The great bird slowly spread its enormous wings. "I am the keeper of final choices. I appear only when fate can still be changed. Once I disappear, the future becomes fixed." The raven explained that only one person in every generation could see it. Ethan's true gift had never been predicting death. He had been chosen to protect hope itself by giving people one final chance to change their destiny. Then the raven vanished into a sky filled with stars. Ethan never saw it again. Years later, stories spread across every kingdom about a mysterious traveler who always arrived one day before disaster struck. Some called him the Raven Boy. Others believed he was blessed by ancient spirits. Children left black feathers outside their homes as symbols of protection instead of fear. Whenever someone asked Queen Isabella why she trusted a frightened village outcast over her own advisors, she always smiled and gave the same answer. Because courage doesn't always arrive wearing armor. Sometimes it arrives carrying a warning that nobody else is brave enough to believe. And deep within the oldest forests, where ravens still circled beneath silver moons, legends whispered that somewhere a lonely traveler continued following black feathers, not to escape death, but to remind the world that every life deserves one last chance to choose a different tomorrow.